that I get really often. Where should I start with strengthening my pelvic floor? And the answer is... All right, so this is a question that I get really often. Where should I start with strengthening my pelvic floor? And the answer is, first, you should start with learning how to relax your pelvic floor. Because if we imagine your pelvic floor muscles like we think of your biceps, if you're holding tension in your biceps all the time and they're staying short and contracted, and someone asks you to contract them further, it's really hard to be able, one, to contract them further, or two, to be able to feel that contraction happen. But if you can lengthen your biceps and shorten your biceps, then that muscle is a lot more effective. It's not as tense or tight or painful. It goes through a better range, and you can feel it more. And so the same sort of concept applies to your pelvic floor. If first you can lengthen your pelvic floor muscles, then you can feel them and they can participate in a contraction better. All right, so y'all were split. About 60% of people said that they cannot feel their pelvic floor lengthen, and about 40% of people said yes, that they can feel their pelvic floor lengthen. So if you can feel your pelvic floor lengthen, then when you exhale, you want to feel your pelvic floor lift, and you want to start incorporating that idea of your pelvic floor contributing for stability on the challenging portion of an exercise. And then on the easier portion of an exercise, you create that length, and then on the challenging part, you create the lift again. And the amount of lengthen and lift is going to vary depending on what you're doing. So if you're doing something that's relatively hard, then you're going to have a smaller amount of lengthen and a smaller amount of lift, because you're going to need to hold somewhat of a contraction. So here are some ideas for how to incorporate that lengthen and the lift. All right, but for the 60... All right, but for the 60% of you who said that you cannot feel the lengthen, then you want to start by focusing on that. You want to use your inhale to create a lowering and a lengthening of your pelvic floor, and you want to practice this in positions that encourage that lengthening of your pelvic floor, so that you're adding the inhale and the positioning to help you further elongate those muscles, so that you can make those connections and figure out what it feels like for your pelvic floor muscles to lengthen. And that is the first step before you do the more progressive exercises that are in the other reels that I just shared.
Best part, this is the best part. This is the best part. This is the best part. Oh, oh, when you do my heart. This is the best part.
It is considered normal in North America to poop only every 2 days. You're not considered constipated unless you're pooping every 3 days or less. Now, while that may give you some relief, like, oh, I'm so glad I'm normal, here's the thing. Let's not aim to be like an average, normal North American who